Welcome to the Well-Seasoned Librarian podcast. I'm your host, Dean Jones. This is season 7, episode 15, and I'm really happy to be letting you listen to my conversation with Maria Provenzano, who has a new book out, Everyday Celebrations from Scratch. Now, when I say it's out, I mean it's literally out today. So as of this listening, you're going to be seeing that the book is out immediately on Amazon. I have a link to it on the bio, and I recommend you just go out and buy it right now because you're going to want to. It's a great book, and it's really rare that I get a book that my wife is interested in. A lot of the cookbooks, she doesn't really like to cook that much, and so she's not always interested. Well, this book, while it had a lot of really great recipes in it, it also had amazing crafts and home decor and self-care things in it too. So it was just a really great book with all these wonderful things to unpack that my wife and I got to look at and share. And we had a lot of great ideas for celebrations through the year from this, a lot of home decor and celebration ideas. It just is a really fun book. The craft stuff in it is no joke. It's really great stuff, really good tutorials on how to do things, and you're going to love it. The recipes too are just brilliant. A lot of really easy to make, inventive and fun recipes. Maria is no slouch in the kitchen. Her recipes are amazing, and she's got some really inventive ways, and we're going to talk about that in the interview. Maria Provenzano is somebody you may have seen from Hallmark Channel. She's been on that for quite a while, and she has her own blog that she uses in Get Creative with Maria Provenzano. She's from Michigan, and her family owned a big grocery store, and it was a really big deal in their town. And so she's been cooking with her family for years and learning to cook from her mother. So she's got a really great background in cooking, and she takes it all out and uses it to great skill here in this book. And again, her blog is amazing too. She also has an incredible YouTube channel that I'm going to put a link to there as well. She's going to have her own show in September on the CAG network. So you'll want to check that out too in September. It's just going to be really great. I'm looking forward to it too. So without further ado, I'm going to take you to my conversation, a really fun one, by the way, that I want to add that I really enjoy getting a chance to talk to her. She was just a fun guest, really easy to talk to, and I just felt like I had made a friend. So onward to the interview. Welcome to the Well-Seasoned Librarian podcast. I'm Dean Jones, your host. Today, I am talking with blogger, TV host, and author, Maria Provenzano. Maria, welcome to the podcast.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Maria, I'm so excited to ask you these questions that I have for you because I've been doing research and I just have so many questions now. I really want to find out about your background and your life. So you grew up in a family that owned one of Saginaw, Michigan's most famous grocery stores, Provenzano's grocery store, which I've seen a lot of people write online that was like a huge legacy in their life and a big part of their life growing up, talking about the spaghetti sauce and the donut machine came up a lot in the
Yep.
articles I saw. Tell us about what that was
Yeah.
like growing up with a family that owned one of the most famous places in Saginaw, Michigan.
It was really special. The Provenzano name in Saginaw it's centered around community. And I really do believe that that's why I do what I do, is because it was instilled in me from birth. So my dad's dad, so my grandpa Provenzano, owned the store with his family. And it was his parents that came over from Sicily, and they went from New York to Detroit to Saginaw. And so Saginaw really, when had really just started thriving, the store was at its best, and they had, everything from scratch, including the sauce called J&R sauce after Jack and Rose, which are my great grandparents. And that sauce was one of the first jarred sauces that people were buying at the store. This is before any mass-produced sauces existed. And so people would get it at the store and then be able to take it home and zhuzh it up and add whatever it is that they like to it. And yes, everybody remembers the donuts. I was really young, but I still remember the donuts. I remember sitting in the back. There was like a pink stool I would sit on and spin around on with my sister. And I just remember the smell of the donuts and everything. And always my grandpa was obviously always there. And it really was just such a special place. Like if you think of like old school community, everybody gathering, that is what that store was.
You grew up with a mother who you write about was a just tremendous baker and cook. What kind of baked goods did she make when you're growing up that hold memories for you?
Well, we definitely, I mean, baking was our bonding time. But I would say it's probably the Christmas cookies that stick out the most to me because well, we had like a full system when it came to our Christmas cookies, and we would put together so many boxes to give to family and friends. So I would say it's probably all of the cookies. So we would do sugar cookies with buttercream, and then we started doing royal icing on our
Mm.
cookies before that was like a thing, and people would tell us, "Oh, you need to sell these," and we were like, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's so sweet." But like, we probably should have because now people are doing that as businesses. But we do those and or did those and biscotti and S cookies, which was my great aunt Zena's recipe, and chocolate peanut butter bonbons, which are in the book. That's one of my favorite childhood recipes. It actually requires no baking at all, but those I could just like pop them like popcorn. They're so delicious.
My wife saw
Um,
those and she goes, "You're
oh,
making those for me." I'm like, all right, you know.
be aware. Yeah, I warned you. They are addicting, but they're so easy, and I make them for every holiday because I put sprinkles on them for that. Like I'll do, for instance, 4th of July. My mom already has some made up, and we'll put sprinkles on them, and then instantly it's festive.
I love that. That's a great idea.
Yes.
Now, I read also in the interviews that you grew up like you didn't really eat a lot of like store-bought jams and jellies and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff you guys had was always homemade. What was that like growing up?
I just it's funny because I didn't know any different. And like a lot of times when it comes for me making dinner for my kids, because we rarely ever eat out. But it's funny because I don't know any different. And so it was funny when I started to like, we'd go to restaurants and like there'd be little jelly things there and this and this and this. But it was like when I got to college, I was like, oh, people really like live on this stuff. Like they don't just make it themselves. And my mom, will send me just jars of jelly because she makes it every year. She actually does a raspberry currant jelly that is
Ooh,
lovely. Yeah,
oh
because currant's
yeah.
her favorite. And she used to like as we were kids, she used to get the big currant, like, branches, I guess, if you will. And we used to have to pull the little berries off. And
Yeah.
we used to do that whole process with her. And I even was just talking to her because I'm visiting her right now in Michigan. And I'm like, we need to make our own jelly because she will always freeze the juice. And they were just of that generation. Her mom always made jellies at home and always just made everything from scratch. And it was just something that she never changed that. And she was a huge Martha Stewart watcher, and I watched Martha Stewart growing up. I think most kids were watching cartoons, and I was watching Martha Stewart. And I would be reading cookbooks, and that was just all that I knew. And then I had, a jelly that was, from somewhere else, and I was like, oh, what is this? This can't be real jelly. It doesn't taste like real food. So it's definitely a huge difference.
Now, aside from cooking, you're very big with crafting and decorating. Have you always been that way since you were young?
Yeah, so that was another thing that my mom always did. She and actually her mom too. So the food on my dad's side, everything was food, food, food. And my grandpa was such a creator as well. He would build anything he needed, he built it. My grandma on my mom's side was very into the sewing and knitting and making all of those things. She was such a maker as well. So my mom was too. And my sister and I grew up cross stitching, knitting, sewing, just like making stuff. So like every party my mom would do for our birthdays, this was like before the whole Pinterest, DIY craze started. She would always have a craft for people to do. I remember her having like that shrinky dink paper at one of mine where like we put together as like I think a little game board, and then she put them in the oven so everyone had a little take home gift to
I
take
remember
with
that.
them.
I did that. That was fun.
They're still out there. I made little keychains with my kids' handprints on them. You should do that, because your kids would like that. It's a fun little thing to do. Maybe I'll put that in the next book.
Now, you have a very famous blog from Scratch with Maria. When did you start that, and where did you get the impetus to do that?
Yeah, I started from scratch with Maria in 2012. Funny enough, my sister talked me into doing a blog with her. I think it would have been like a year or two before that. And so it was kind of when the whole blog world started, and she's
Yeah,
super into fashion. And so she talked me into it. I'm like, no, I am not doing a Dear Diary because that's what blogs were at that time. It
yeah.
was just like, oh, what I did today. And she goes, no, 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 this is totally different. So she really was the one who talked me into doing this with her, and she was doing more fashion. And I was like, people are asking me for my recipes. I'm gonna start putting my recipes on here. And then so she kind of ventured off in her world. It was called, she doesn't do it anymore, but she now works in PR. But it was called the HSS feed, and it was all fashion. And I'm not super into fashion, so I took my own and did and created from scratch with Maria, because I wanted a name that really was all encompassing of what I did. So not just the food, but the crafts, the lifestyle, the whole like the through line of what is from scratch. And it's really creating something with your own two hands, that what I like live and breathe and dream about every single day. And so then I just had started that and started doing it every single day like it was my job, and then it became a job.
Now, I heard just today that you have a new project you're working on that's going to be coming out in September. You're going to have a new show on GAC. Can we talk about that a bit?
I would love to talk about that. Yes, this is all very exciting. So this new network, it was bought by Bill Abbott, and he's transformed it into just this like really happy place for content. So the channel will have a lot of so GAC Family will have a lot of the movies, the rom-coms, Christmas movies that everybody knows and loves. And GAC Living will have lifestyle content. He's also coming out with this really great digital platform for this audience. And I will have my own digital series on there called Everyday Celebrations. And then there's going to be a lot of familiar faces on there as well, that I think people are going to be really excited about in terms of the lifestyle space. So this is all lifestyle. So you're going to see recipes, cooking, baking, crafting, DIYs. And I'm going to be shooting some things from Michigan as well, where I'm originally from, like we talked about. And so you're going to see a lot of seasonal content that I think people are really craving. And this format will also give us the ability to add a lot more lifestyle elements that are more like get to know people. So, I can say, hey, I'm actually headed on a trip to the apple orchard in Michigan. I want to show you. So it's not necessarily just so much like how to's, but it's also the lifestyle elements of like, this is a great place to go in Michigan, or this is what we did on our, trip to orchards. And it's going to be a really beautiful, happy space to be in.
This episode is sponsored by Culinary Historians of Northern California, a Bay Area educational group dedicated to the study of food, drink, and culture in human history. To learn more about this organization and their work, please visit their website at www.chnorcal.org. So I want to talk about your brand new cookbook that's going to be out today as of the airing of this podcast. I'm very excited about people seeing this because I really love this. I want to mention before we go into it that I rarely get books in the mail for my interviews and for reviews that my wife gets excited about. And my wife saw me flipping through it. She's like, "Hey, let me look at that." And she grabbed it away from me.
Oh.
And she was like, really, I said, I'm like, "Hey, can I have that back? I kind of need it." And she's like, "No, I'm keeping this." And so I was like, I really kind of need that. So we looked at it together, and my wife was really thrilled by the fact that it's a cookbook. There's a lot of good cooking stuff in it, but it also is a crafting book, and it's much more. So there's so much to unpack here because it's a kind of all around great book on so many levels. I'm going to let you I don't want to like dominate this. I want to let you talk about it because I'm really excited to have people hear about this book.
Well, Dean, you know what? That just made my day. That was my purpose, was for it to be a well-rounded book that people could get a whole lot out of. So the fact that you really dug in and that your wife appreciated it, I mean, it means so much to me. This book to me was like having another child. I put so much love and care into this book and lots of sleepless nights. So it really did feel like having another baby.
Yeah.
But so the book Everyday Celebrations from Scratch really is part cookbook, part craft book. And the through line of the book is connecting through creativity, because I really do believe that creativity is the great connector. It's the one thing, food, crafts, but expressing ourselves in that way is the best way to connect with others. And those are really the things that mean the most. That's why it's everyday celebrations. Don't wait for a holiday to celebrate. Enjoy today. If the past couple years have taught us anything, is that time is our greatest gift. and being with the people that we love is our greatest gift. And we have to really take that and elevate it. And so that's what this book does. So there's 5 chapters with multiple themes within those chapters, and it's celebrating things from as simple as a weeknight meal or like a big breakfast to set. But let's say it's your wife has a big day. She either is going to a big meeting or has just something that she's been working towards that means a lot to her, and you set this beautiful breakfast out for her that adds those elements of being celebratory. And it can be as simple as, you know what, she is getting a raise, and so there was confetti. I have 3 ways to make confetti in the book. So
Yes,
you could
you do. Yeah.
yeah, and then you could get a little confetti, a little note. It's these things, they might seem small, but the small things are big. And it's those
Absolutely.
little everyday moments that are the building blocks for our lives. And that's why I feel so passionate about it. These are things that my mom did and my dad did. And they always saw and appreciated and celebrated those little things in life. Like the thing for the breakfast in the book, the whole idea of having breakfast feel celebratory, because my mom did that for me. I had a big test and I was, going crazy and all these things that we always do for those big days. And I woke up to a big breakfast that was so celebratory. I'm like, I haven't even passed the test. And she goes, that doesn't matter. You have worked so hard. That's the celebration. And it was just like having somebody there for me who really cared and saw the work. And that's honestly, at the end of the day, all we really want. We want to be seen and heard and celebrated.
So, as to the recipe part of it, I'm kind of a food nerd. So, I was really
I love
thrilled.
it.
I was so thrilled by some of your recipes because they really kind of made me very happy. So, I was really happy though. I like the innovative touches. Like, you had like a family nacho night, but then you like added a lot of vegetable forward things, which made it more healthy, which I love because as a parent, you're always trying to get kids to eat vegetables and stuff. And that's like the biggest battle of being a parent. So for me, that was such a great thing. And then the slow cooker chicken tacos, it's oven baked shells.
Mm,
I'm like, everybody can like that. So it's like you're kind of like looking towards all the family. And then we have Grandpa Frank's classic spaghetti and meatballs, which just looked fabulous. And I thought I could see us making this every Sunday. Like this could be a
yay.
great thing. And then for the adults, the spring Aperol spritz that I've already kind of tried and loved because I had some Aperols. I'm like,
Yay.
I,
Yes.
I'll try this right now. Why not?
Why not?
And so I just loved so much of this. And I have to tell you, you had one recipe that just knocked my socks off that I can't wait to
Ooh.
make. And that's the strawberry scones where you pulverize the freeze-dried
Yes.
strawberries. I'm like, that is so clever. I really love that. How did you come up with that?
You know what? That's a recipe that I love scones.
Me
And
too.
so when I mean, seriously, because I always have them in the freezer. And the
Yeah.
great thing about those scones is good, they go freezer to oven. And so I was trying to come up with a strawberry scone recipe and I couldn't get one that wasn't soggy.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. I was at Trader Joe's and I saw these freeze-dried strawberries and I was like, huh, I'm gonna try that. And I just tried it and it worked. And it was the strawberry flavor is so potent. And believe me, I try to use fresh is best in my opinion. Usually that's what I try to do. And I could not nail a strawberry scone recipe that didn't get soggy.
Yeah.
And so this was it. And it has so much strawberry flavor. They're really vibrant in color. And like I said, you can freeze them and pull them out as necessary. And my kids love this recipe, but it's also fancy enough if you're entertaining and doing a breakfast celebration, a baby shower, bridal shower, birthday, anything. Those can be frozen and then made right before, and your house will smell amazing. You need to try them and let me know.
Well, I did try the Italian breakfast cake this morning. I
Yay!
wasn't going to, but then I thought I have time. I ended up with more time than I thought. So I went ahead and made it. And so it's halfway gone now. I just want to tell you,
Gosh,
it's a
it's
hit.
so delicious. You know what? So that recipe I make with lemon, as you saw.
Yeah.
But I know people listening. I want to tell them that the one of my goals with this book too was to give people good foundations for creativity, and that is a great recipe. That's a good foundation to play, right? So I experimented with that, and instead of lemon, I put in blood orange juice, and I did a blood orange
Nice.
like icing on the top, and it was so lovely. So next time, if you have some blood oranges around, or even actually just regular oranges, you should try that. But that one is another one of my kids' favorites because it's so classic Italian that that's what the Italians eat for breakfast. Like if you're in Italy, they eat something sweet. And so that one is definitely, that's why I have it in my wonderfully sweet weekends chapter, because I love to bake on the weekends. And that's definitely on repeat.
Well, it's like I said, there's so much to unpack here. I'm really excited because there's like in the beginning, you have like basically a list of craft items and you talk about crafts. And when you do things, you have really great examples of how to do them. You just don't assume everybody can do it. You kind of give a lot of good guidance in the thing. And then also, there's the portions where you talk about spa days and forever friend support. I just loved all these things. And I really thought, what a great book for the whole family this is. Tell me about how you came up with these ideas for these chapters.
Yeah. So when I was coming up with the creative of the book and the whole idea of celebrating every day, like what is it that we celebrate every single day? And when I kind of went and did the pillars first, like what is it that I personally love? And for me, weeknight meals were essential for me because that's where I sat with my family every single night. And I think the more we sit together at the table, the happier we all are. And so that's why weeknight meals was the first chapter. And then family, of course, and then friendships. I feel like we don't really sit back and celebrate friendships as much as we probably should. And in the book, I tell a lot of stories throughout, I mean, the whole book, obviously, but in the friendship chapter tell stories of my friends. And even having a book, I wanted to, even though this book is so happy and uplifting, I wanted a section where people could feel like, I feel like when you lose, like you have friends who lose something, lose whether a person, a job, a significant other, a boyfriend, a breakup, whatever it is, there's the celebration in that is the friendship. Having your friend that is there for you. And I've been through highs and lows, and my friends have always been there for me. And so I thought it could be a really great place to celebrate friendship and show that sometimes the way you celebrate is by supporting them. And so that was the showing support in the friendship section. So we have weeknight meals, family, friends, and then we have sports. I don't play the sports. I'm there for the sports. So my kids all play sports. And I just think it's a great way to gather and a great excuse to gather. And then, for people who maybe don't love the sports, then we have the seasons. I'm a Michigan girl, Midwest, true and true. And I love the seasons. And so the seasons, I think, especially, that's what I've made my career on, is really celebrating the seasons and doing seasonal content. And I think sitting back and really appreciating the rainy days, the sunny days, the changes, and sitting back. And that's something my mom always did, being in the Midwest. We would see a robin in the spring and she'd be so excited. And it's just having that sort of appreciation for nature. I mean, for instance, right now I'm visiting her place in Michigan and they are painting the outside of their house. And there is a dove that has a nest outside. And she is not allowing anybody to come near this nest. She's like, no, you gotta let the babies hatch. That mama dove has been sitting there for however long. And so it was just so funny because she that to her is so important. And so that's why I think I love to celebrate the seasons, because the changes in the leaves and just the smell in the air in the fall, like those things are, if we can sit back and appreciate those little things, we will all be so much happier in life.
Now, this is probably an unfair question, but do you have any favorite seasons?
Oh, probably fall.
Me too.
I think it's Midwest. I think I always loved going back to school. I loved when I was in school and getting the new clothes and sweaters and all of that. And yeah, just the smell and the camaraderie and like everybody going to football games together or whatever, sporting event there was. And that to me, that's nostalgia right there. It's just the smell and the feel and like that crispness in the air of fall. Oh, best.
Are you guys big Halloween people? Do you guys
Oh
decorate for
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah. I have more Halloween decorations than any other holiday. Yeah.
Me
So
too.
yes. It's so fun. And my husband always, he has this thing where he likes to create his own costume.
Me too.
And he always does it. Oh, do you? Yay. Like he always does it the day of Halloween. Likes to challenge himself. And he was the guy from Zoolander this past Halloween. He was wearing like half of my clothes.
That's the best.
Like he had makeup on, he had his hair spiked up.
I love it.
Oh yeah, took one of my scarves, had it like wrapped around his head.
Doing blue steel all night.
Oh, all night, all night. I was just like, oh my God. But yeah, that's like his little challenge he does to himself every single year.
love that. Now, what are Thanksgivings like for you guys? I imagine it's a big kind of to do.
Yeah, it's usually it's with my mom. So that's when we like to come to Michigan, and because usually we always do Christmas at home. And and I live in California. So I love to be able to have the experience of the Midwest
Yeah,
in that time of year for Thanksgiving. And usually we'll go and cut down a Christmas tree and almost do like a mini Christmas with my parents over that course of the week.
I love
Because
that.
some years we have full blown snow, in Michigan at that time. And there's so many great areas to go get trees, and you can cut them down yourself and all of that. So usually, for me, Thanksgiving food, it wasn't until this past during COVID that I had made Thanksgiving by myself, because we had done a couple years, where I was in my house just with my kids and my husband making Thanksgiving. But usually I'm with my mom. So I mean, I was calling her every 5 minutes. I'm like, can you remind me about the gravy? Remind me about the gravy. What do you do for stuffing? I'm always scared I'm gonna undercook the turkey. So I always like am, going crazy. But I do like to experiment with turkeys. I try to do like either a dry brine, a wet brine, things like that. So that's where I like to play a little bit.
That sounds, I love the seasonal stuff in this book, and it's just got such fun ideas. I can't wait to try them throughout the different seasons. And it's been such an inspiration. It's given my wife a lot to talk and I a lot to talk about.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I think I could be good friends with you and your wife.
Yeah,
You guys
no,
sound
like
like my people.
we think those two. Yeah, we totally agree on that one. Now, I really loved photography in this, and it captured not just the food and the crafts, but also your beautiful family as well. How delighted were you to see what this looked like when it came out?
Oh, it was a dream come true. So I project managed the entire book. So I was the one picking out every single photo, telling, so we had Brie McCool did the lifestyle photos, so the
Right.
ones you see of me and my kids, and Leslie Grow did the food. And I mean, I was beaming. We did everything in my house for the food. And then the photography was at my house, some was at my sister-in-law's house. So and just having, years and years of experience on television and prop styling and things like that, it was a really big challenge for me, that I was so excited to take on. But for me, being someone who has read cookbooks my whole life, um, and I was so excited when with Harper Horizons, which is a division of HarperCollins, but they gave me so much creative freedom in this book. And that's why I kind of went a little crazy. I was like, I did a set the scene before every single theme. I did tips at the end of everything, and then takeaways at the end of every chapter. And I just went, I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go big. And so when they let me have the creative freedom to do a cover that wasn't just a single photo, that was a variety of photos, and that I had my kids on there, it was just such a surreal moment, because that to me, my kids are my life, and all I want is for them to have the same experiences with me that I had with my family, and have that same connection. And so to have them in here and doing this, it was, I mean, I'm at the book sitting in front of me right now, and it just like makes me so unconditionally unconditionally happy looking at the photos.
Now, you mentioned that you grew up with Martha Stewart, like many of us. Can you tell
Mhm.
me who some of the cookbook writers and food, like TV celebrity chefs that you grew up with that you enjoyed, that you loved reading over the years?
Yeah, well, obviously Martha Stewart, she's like all hail Martha. Have let her wear a crown. I'm here for it. I love Ina Garten. That was someone that my mom had on the TV all the time. So I always loved watching her. I love Giada De Laurentiis as another Italian girl. Um, I watch her and I feel like I am like sitting with a girlfriend. I think that her content is so lovely and it's
Yes.
so well done. I would say those are two definitely. And I love Bobby Flay. I
Yeah.
anytime I watch his stuff, what I love about him is like I'll watch him make a recipe and he made it up on the spot. Like that's what he does. And so that's been, really encouraging to me, because my mom's she's got the German blood, so she's very precise, and that's why I love to bake. But my grandpa is Italian, so he would throw things together so I love having that sort of balance, and like watching him do that always really inspired me to have some freedom in the kitchen and really like let go and do that. So that's definitely, some people that I love to watch. I actually really love Sunny Anderson. I had met her years ago, and I follow her Instagram, and she is a crack up. And so she's someone that I enjoy a lot too.
Now, I like to ask this question of all my guests, so I don't know if it's applicable, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's a cheeky question. What are you making for dinner tonight?
Yes, actually tonight I'm making marshmallows for dinner. And I'll tell you why. I am when everyone sees this, this will be over, but or here's this, this will be over. But I am doing a Williams Sonoma event. So
Oh,
I'm making marshmallows with Williams Sonoma. But I also had 3 segments for the book today. So I have, let's see, I have the BLAT sandwich from the
nice.
book
Very
that
nice.
my husband may have already dug into, the Italian sodas, the 3-bean salad. What else did we make? Oh, and we made the banana split, but breakfast banana splits. So everything from the book. However, since I am in Michigan, we've been doing a lot of grilling. So my
Nice.
mom is an avid farmers market goer. So she gets lots of fruits and vegetables from the farmers market. So we will always grill something up. We made some grilled salad the other night, you know, where you put the romaine on the
Yeah.
salad and that adds that nice kind of char.
Mm.
And then we've been doing a lot of burgers just because it's summer. They live on the lake and you get to cook outside. So it's usually grilling season here for us.
That sounds wonderful. I really want to thank you, Maria, for being on the podcast. I've really enjoyed getting a chance to talk to you. And I love this book, and I hope to see many more of these come out. And I can't wait to see your show on GAC in September, too.
Thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate it.
It was my conversation with author, blogger, vlogger, and soon-to-be TV host Maria Provenzano. Her book, Everyday Celebrations from Scratch, is out today. We have a link to it in the bio. You can buy it from the link. Now, next week, we're going to be having on our program the famous Nick Sharma, who you've seen on television and in articles as a food writer for his cookbooks, The Flavor Equation season, and also his recipes from the Brown Table blog as well. He'll be on next week, and I know you're going to love my conversation with Nick. I hope you all have a really great week. If you want to leave a tip, you can buy me a coffee at the link in the bio. You can also share the podcast with others on social media. I always encourage that. And we also have a link in the bio. You can follow our website through our online newsletter as well. And also, we want to give thanks to Asian Man Records for letting us use the song Talk About Love by their band Kitty Cat Fan Club for the intro and outro for the podcast program. Very thankful for that. Visit the website for Asian Man Records. You can check out the band Kitty Cat Fan Club, who I like quite a bit, and also other bands on the label which are equally as good. You can buy some albums, some merchandise, some t-shirts or hoodies, some stickers, etc. That's wrapping up this episode for this week. I hope you all have a really great rest of your week and a wonderful holiday celebration this weekend. Keep cooking.
A little time for love to grow.